Alright, so this is going to be an amazing video. I found the best video out on the internet right now as of October 1st. It was uploaded in September 30th, but nonetheless, by far the best video ever. This is like a video on a god tier level that I've never thought I would see in my life. But it's a video that perfectly sums up today's world, today's females, today's everything in regard to this whole gender thing, and just out of all the videos I've ever made, she kind of puts every little bit of topic that I put in, every type of scenario that I put in, everything, all in this 16-minute video. And not only that, but she presents it in a way that is kinder than obviously the way that I would do it, obviously, but in such an eloquently well-worded way as well. So the presentation is amazing. It's non-confrontational, as I'll put it, as I am very aggressive. I am very fuck you and get fucked type, you know, as my style, generally speaking. But she, on the other hand, is kind of the opposite. She's very neutral. She's intellectual. She's just right to the point in a nice way, in a kind way, and that really separates it from, you know, my style, where people may get more defensive because of my aggression rather than wanting to listen. With this person, you're more likely to listen than get defensive. So you know, I that took a lot of tact on her part, so kudos on that. And again, the way she presents it throughout the entire video just makes it even that much better. I mean, she perfectly knows when to throw in the little memes, pictures, the whole 10 yards. Just everything about it is perfect in the way she says things, present things, everything. From the word choice, to the tone, to the style, just everything. So, with that said, I will now be watching, reviewing, and adding on my own little bits and pieces of dialogue onto what she's saying furthermore. So, without ado, let's get going. This is Eva Brighton from Dutch. She's of the Dutch descent. So she does have an accent, however her English is just fine and easily understood. And for those that do, for whatever the reason, have a hard time with understanding what she's saying, she even includes, in perfect English, what she's saying in words on the screen for you. So you can read it or you can listen to it, if not both. Subtitles for the win. So without further ado, let's get right to this, because this is going to be a long ass video, in a good way.
I believe there's something quite wrong with women's mental health. Or I could bluntly put it like this: almost all young women, both individual or as a collective, are, and I'm sorry to say so, mentally insane. It doesn't mean that they're not intelligent. On the contrary, women can work with male inventions, take over male jobs, drive their cars, fly planes, and anything else that men came up with. However, whenever women themselves come up with something, they always seem to create the exact opposite of the goal they want to achieve. Mostly by screaming, yelling, aggression,
physically remove the students,
and portraying themselves as ill-treated victims. Especially the younger generation, who just don't seem to realize they're now openly demonstrating this female erratic behavior by the bizarre way they protest and march through the streets as the fourth wave of feminists. It's typically female to achieve equality, and once they have it, continue to whine about trivial things, blowing them up to disproportional problems like the way men sit, or how men explain things, or how...
Okay, so that was a lot to cover, just in that little bit, but just the first minute, and she's already fucking, like, knocking, pulverizing, destroying every bit of the current day female logic, the hyper gynocentrism, the extreme gender bias bullshit, and this victim mentality, and then overly perpetuating these minute, insignificant problems such as how men sit, or how men explain things, and things of that nature. And she perfectly points out the erratic, destructive, disgusting behavior of how females are, and what they say, and how they do it, and things like that, and how they're practically demons, you know. And all the while, they're the ill-treated victims, while also being these superhuman empowered type female individuals, all at the same time, somehow. Being at the bottom and the top at the same time, like Schrodinger's cat or something. And shows the toxic behavior of so many females with their feminism and double standards and their hatred and so on and so forth, with how they are out in public and things of that nature, and how they, how she exactly said it perfectly, how they create the exact opposite of the goal they want to achieve, you know. So I mean, you cannot be any more spot on, woman. That's perfect. Like, holy fuck. I cannot believe just how spot on she is, how well worded this is. Wow. Alright, let's continue on.
They open the door, or don't open the door for them, or how men approach them, how they operate the air conditioning.
It's the air conditioning that's sexist.
I know. So many women in our office have the exact same problem.
Trivial as it may be, this is now starting to have a huge impact everywhere and turning today's society into a world gone completely mad.
Absolutely. Again, she's hitting on these points of the minuities, the contradictions, the hypocrisies, the just everything wrong with today's females and their so-called logic. Sexist air conditioning. Really? 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 And how, you know, first they're saying, don't open doors for me. Then they're saying, open doors for me. It's like, you can't have it both ways. Either you want the doors being open for you, or you don't. Which one is it? Because if you don't open the door for a female, then she's offended. But if you open a door for a female, then she's offended because, oh, I can do it on my own, type bullshit. And then she'll state, oh, they should open the doors, it's just they don't need to, or some, you know, half-assed bullshit excuse so they can try to play both ends as if it's somehow rational, when it's not at all reasonable or rational. I mean, this gal is just kicking their ass intellectually like I've never seen anyone do before. This gal makes Dutch people look so good. Like, she is doing them proud right now, I'll tell you what. And when she said, into a world gone completely mad, whoo! Damn right. Goddamn right she is. Because if I started noticing this gender bias bullshit as I as I call it, of this gynocentric, slander males, empower females type ideology, memes, videos, quotes, sayings, all the way back in fucking 2012. Even back in 2011 a little bit, but I didn't care back then. But I really started to notice in 2012. But since 2012, it's only perpetually gotten worse. It has gotten magnified. So, you know, she's also pointing that out, that it's just getting worse and worse. And, you know, it's these, how the smallest little things that don't fucking matter, they blow it out of fucking proportion like it's the biggest goddamn deal ever, like their lives that are on the line or some shit. How men don't or do approach them, the fucking air conditioning, this and that, and how we fucking sit. I mean, really? Yeah, that is fucking spot on. So, continuing on.
It's as if all the whining within a marriage, which in the past was acted out within the confines of their private homes, has gone public now, and so have their methods. Whether it is pouring bleach over men's crotches, hitting men, female teachers raping young boys, falsely accusing and reporting men, destroying men's careers, women seem to be revealing their true identity and are showing us what it really is that's been driving the men crazy.
Oh, yeah. That was like an orgasm to my ears, to my mind. Could she have said that any better? Hell no! That was the best way it could ever have been said. On so many different things. She just jam-packed so many different things all into one little topic that if I was to go over every little thing that she just said and completely cover that, topic for topic, subject for subject, it would be a whole video of its own self. But she so eloquently put them together in a short, simple, but effective form. Oh my God! Perfection! But I'll very, very, very shortly explain, add my little bit to that. With the first bit of, you know, you know, that retarded female in Russia that was pouring bleach on men's crotches as a protest to manspreading. Yeah, imagine if a male did that to a female. And how, again, she got away with it. She did not get in trouble for it. Even though that's considered assault, by the way. But maybe things are different in Russia. I don't know. I haven't lived there personally, so I can't speak in the legalities of things. But in America, should she have done that, it would definitely have been considered assault. Such as spitting on someone is assault just as much as throwing liquid is. It's an unwarranted, unjustified, and unwanted fluid being put on another person. Whether it's bodily fluid, spit, pee, whatever, or bleach, or water, or whatever. You just can't do that because you're angry at someone. And when she was saying, you know, so have their methods, you know, this used to be all done in private, in marriages, you know, and all that. And in some ways, it coming out into the public is a good thing, because this is showing the shit we've had to been deal with for all these years. But in other ways, it's bad, because now it's saying, you know, oh, it's okay to be like this. Oh, it's okay to do this to men type situation. And then, of course, females abusing their invulnerability to face male to female violence by striking males outright in public. And they know that should a male hit them back or be violent towards them, even if the female was the one that started it, 9 times out of 10, she will be the one who's the victim and will get away with what she started, what she initiated, what she did. But because the male decided to defend himself, rightfully so, when he's, as shown in that video there, being straight up fucking punched, like right hook mania, that if he was to do something back, he would be the one getting in trouble, not her. That's fucking right. And so they abuse that privilege given to them by society by hitting men, attacking men physically, violently, because they know that they're basically free to do so without consequence. And should there be a consequence, aka male, a male that will punch, strike, attack back to defend himself, that even if she loses in that regard, she's still going to win in the end by the court system, by police, by societal pressure. The man will get in trouble. So I love how she points that out too, the whole hitting men thing. And then yeah, the female teachers raping, not having sex with students, but raping students, and how it is a double standard. It's a lack of awareness, because if a male has sex, aka rape, with a student of high school or whatever, middle school, then it's the end of the world as we know it. But when females do it, they call it having sex with students, as shown in the meme in that video there, that news article there. And how it is a double standard, because these females, they're not being damn near crucified for their actions. They may get a few rude comments or whatever here and there, and sometimes even fucking praise. But they definitely don't get anything near what males do, especially when it comes to the punishments for these actions. So I thank her again for pointing that out. And then the whole female teachers who sexually abuse their students. Again, it's more than sexually abuse. It's called rape. But you notice that the mainstream gynocentric media won't say rape, right? They'll say males rape their students, but they'll never say that the female teachers raped their students. You notice that? Yeah, me and this Dutch female definitely did notice that. And then when she pointed out how women seem to be revealing their true identity, and showing us what it really is that's been driving men crazy for all these years, I was like, oh hell yeah, fucking right, man, fucking right. Be a little bit more accurate, why don't you? Fucking man. Because this is the stuff, again, that used to be just private. You know, you know, a female would be doing this just in the privacy or whatever of their homes, and then men would get fed up with that shit, and then they'd get in trouble. But now we know the drive, the cause, the reason, the why, the how. Women aren't so innocent now, are they? So, with that said, let's continue on.
They are dragging many men with them into a global folio of both sexes, and this strange disorder is growing explosively the last years. When women are alone with their thoughts, they seem to express themselves as children. You can see this on social media forums such as Facebook. They seem to lack the capacity to think up original thoughts or ideas. This is why they mostly communicate using clichés and favor the use of memes or poetry, usually written by someone else, to express their feelings. Just look around on the internet and you'll see that everybody, including men, are cultivating this toddler-like kindergarten style. Women have largely contributed to this childish PC society where everything is offensive. Just think about
Woo! Yeah! This girl's got it going on better than Stacy's mom, I'll tell you what. Alright, so this was spot on again. I mean, she could not be any more accurate, valid, truthful, and honest with what she has stated in this little segment there. You know, you can see it, as I've been saying for years, on social media forums such as fucking Facebook. The memes, the quotes, the sayings, the articles, the pages dedicated, the actual like public Facebook pages that dedicate to just gender biased, gynocentric, man-hating bullshit. It's gender biased bullshit, and she's calling it out in the best way possible. You know, they seem to lack the capacity to think up original thoughts or ideas, and I'm fucking like, damn right. So accurate, so truthful, so honest, so much reality. And she points out what I've been pointing out for years. This is why they most commonly communicate using cliches and favor the use of memes or poetry. But it's gender biased memes and poetry. And then she actually shows that to which I have spoken about all the time, where it's this hyper focus on female stuff, when it's just as applicable to man. And it states, as shown in the video, she stood in the storm, and when the wind did not blow her way, she adjusted her sails. However, this is just as applicable to men as well. I could say he stood in the storm, and when the wind did not blow his way, he adjusted his sails. But as you can tell, it doesn't say both genders. It only focuses on one gender. And wouldn't you know it, it's the empowerment of females. Oh my goodness. Someone else wrote that, but yet so many females will share that particular post. Because it's this whole, you know, I'm a victim, but I'm so tough, and empowerment, you know, type bullshit. And women are so strong. Women are so so powerful, strong, determined. Oh my God. Then she points out how they're cultivating this toddler-like kindergarten style, where it's all cutesy-cute or cartoonish, and how it's all happy days and fake-ass smiles and rainbows and glitter and unicorns and shit like that. And then points out how women have largely contributed to this childish PC society, where everything is offensive. It's like, oh yeah, speak that truth. It's like fucking mind porn, intellectual porn, reality-based porn. Oh, it is like, yeah, this is so perfectly spot on. Thank you. Because yes, as gynocentrism has grown, as women have been more prominent in news and media and movies, and their ideologies have been becoming the trendy mainstream fads, haven't you noticed the downfall, the decrease in masculinity and manly men? The death of the traditional masculine male. and I've pointed this out many times before, just in my local area of Traverse City. I swear I'm one of the very few last living traditional masculine men out there who has not adapted or subserviently acquiesced to the nowadays feminine way that so many other beta bitch males have. As in even the so-called alphas of today's male world aren't really that masculine. They're girly boys. Oh, I gotta do up my hair. Oh, gotta make sure I'm all fashionable. Wearing my pink shorts and my, tight wearing shirt. Gotta do up my beard all fancy like. All stupid shit like that. Spending more time looking in the fucking mirror than women do. It's like fucking bullshit. My girly boy face and my girly boy arms. Like, they can have muscles and shit and still be fucking girlier than some twig. It's ridiculous. And, again, to point out, how everything's offensive. Whether it's comedy or a movie or fucking lyrical music from A Christmas Carol back in the 50s. It doesn't matter. Everything is somehow offensive in one way or the other. And it's because of females. Anyways, I mean, it's just spot on. Just way too spot on, really. So, let's continue on, shall we?
Of the sexes always tended to be offended. It weren't the men. Many women present themselves to be highly engaged and sensitive to issues like veganism, animal cruelty and environmental issues. It's not that men don't care, it's just that the women seem to be addicted to excessively showing the outside world how much compassion and empathy they have. In private, these women hopelessly struggle with their feelings, emotions and identity, while their psychologists may already have diagnosed them with borderline personality syndrome, mood disorder, bipolar disorder, eating disorder, hypersensitivity disorder, or any of these words trying to pinpoint this erratic mental behavior. In public, women will prefer the term high sensitive because it's promoted as a precious gift with many benefits.
Oh yeah, alright. Again, she's pointing out just another of this facade that so many females seem to put on nowadays. And it's this false belief, this false facade, this bullshit mask that they put on. Of how superior females are to males. And how do they do so? They present themselves to be highly engaged and sensitive to issues such as veganism and hashtag find her cause in the background there. That was a good ad. Animal cruelty, environmental issues, and I love how neutral she is. She points out, the facts of this. It's not that men don't care. You're absolutely correct. Because men do care. It's just that women seem to be obsessed, addicted to excessively showing the outside world how much compassion and empathy they have. So what she's saying here is, without being mean about it, but I'm going to be, is that these females are excessively showing, meaning they're trying too hard to show, fake, facade, a mask, to give this facade, this fake ideology, this false belief that women are so superior, morally or otherwise, that they're the only ones that care about things that truly matter. So in their attempt to show this false superiority and fake interests of being the better gender, better species, better people, they excessively try so hard, too hard even, to show it. To say, hey, I'm about veganism. I'm about the environment. I'm going to go out of my way to the most excessive extent possible to show that we women are the ones that care about the environment and men don't. Because we're the ones that are trying too hard. And what I mean is by too hard is not that they're actually trying too hard, but rather they're perpetuating the idea too powerfully in a way that shows how disingenuous they are. It's not what they're doing. It's not even what they're saying. You can tell they're bullshitting. They're just trying too hard to be something that they're not. To be about something that they aren't really all about. They're just doing it to look good. And that's basically what this Dutch female is saying and pointing out. And their fake compassion, their fake empathy that they don't have, but they're trying to portray themselves as having. Oh yeah. Then she furthermore goes on to point out the reality, the truth, and the facts of the situation, of them and how they are on the inside. In private, these women hopelessly struggle with their feelings. Oh yeah, that they do, and it shows. They project their struggle onto the male gender by their gender bias sayings, quotes, and articles, bashing men, hating on men, etc., etc. And you know, they show their little I'm a victim to life type memes and so on and so forth. And you know, she goes on furthermore to say the identity and emotions, while they're psychologists, diagnose them with such things as a mood disorder, bipolar disorder, eating disorder, hypersensitivity disorder, or any of these words, trying to pinpoint these erratic mental behavior. And it's not just mental, because it becomes physical, erratic behavior as well. So basically, she again is pointing out these women are being fake, they're putting on a facade, they're disingenuous, they're not at all sincere, they're just putting on a show. Thank you, by the way, for doing that. Furthermore, she goes on to say that in public, women will prefer the term highly sensitive, because it's somehow promoted as, advertised as, some sort of precious gift with many benefits. However, of course, she points out that while they openly flaunt this high sensitivity, it's in fact not the actual highly sensitivity behaviors and ideologies that it's actually based on. It's actually just them putting a word in front of erratic behavior and trying to rationalize their ignorance and arrogance and idiocy and just outright mental behavior with the cover-up of highly sensitive. And she perfectly puts that out there, including that little meme of the whole borderline personality disorder pride inside of a heart. I'm just like, fucking right, mate. As if it's some virtue. Oh yeah. So let's start off with that. Continuing on.
As if it's a virtue, a God-given talent. Never mind the fact it's a disorder in disguise. High sensitivity is a holistic celebration of life, art, beauty, and the list goes on. In private, they might wreak havoc on their relationships, demanding the password of the phone, checking his messages, suspecting, accusing, cross-examining as she's a Gestapo trainee, while at the end of the day, she will take his child, house, and money.
Oh, baby. Again, she is just dicking on these females, especially American females. Oh my god. She's exposing them left and right, and it's only 5 minutes into the video. Like, she could have ended it with does that, and it would cover basically everything. Anything beyond this is just... Holy shit. Oh my god. Alright, so, yeah, as she was saying, you know, she pointed out what the true meaning of being highly sensitive and things of that nature truly is. It's a holistic celebration of life, art, beauty, and the list goes on. But this isn't what today's females are using it for. They're using it for their destructive and toxic behavior and mind frames and attacking the male character and things of that nature. And then in private, they might wreak havoc on their relationships with men, especially, which is absolutely true. Gender-biased females are so fucked in the head with their gynocentrism and their feminism and whatever the hell else is wrong with them, borderline personality or what have you, whatever mood or emotional disorder they're having, that they will go as far as demanding the passwords of phones, checking his messages, being overly insecure about anything and everything he does and everywhere he goes, lacking trust, and therefore shouldn't be in a relationship in the first place, because if you don't trust somebody, as we all know in relationships, if there is no trust, there is no relationship. End of story. But yet these females will be the overly demanding, overly paranoid people that they are, and they will do everything in their power to go full on fucking suspecting, accusing, cross-examining as if they're some sort of Gestapo trainee, as she perfectly stated. And then, of course, at the end of the day, at the end of the marriage, at the end of the relationship, whatever they have, it's always the same. She will take his child, house, and money. So much truth, so many facts, all that reality all in one power-packed punch. Ugh.
But in public, those women appear to be as zen as the Dalai Lama. They care even more for others than for themselves. Their unselfishness and compassion knows no bounds, and while advocating these obvious good causes such as anti-animal cruelty, poverty in Africa, donations, mentally or physically challenged, cancer, and all other forms of awareness, they present themselves as the incarnation of Mother Teresa and all what is good. And no one in their right mind would dare to question them. But their underlying pathology is much more savage, as women use these ideological utopic views and male wisdom as a vehicle of doctrine. And they are transforming society into a man-hating society by blaming men for all what's not good about their patriarchal society. It's impossible for men to...
Oh yeah, you just knocked them out with some more of that reality. She is calling them out on their bullshit, on their fake, double, two-faced, and pointing out what they're really after and what the true agenda is. Oh, fuck yeah. Women donate less to charity than men because they feel more pressured to give money when they don't want to, while having this false facade, this fake ass mask of being Mother Teresa and as zen as the Dalai Lama and Buddha himself. She perfectly articulated that into the perfect structure of sentence making and presented it as such. Just spot on. And she's absolutely right. In these cases, in these situations, no one in their right mind would dare question that, because that is like such a high tier of morality, ethics, and compassion, and empathy, and things of that nature, that if you were to try to argue that or whatever, you'd be an evil, bad person. You know, so it puts some sort of like protections in there. But, as she points out, the underlying pathology is much more savage than it would otherwise appear, as women use that ideologic, utopic views and male wisdom as a vehicle of doctrine. As we all know, doctrine is brainwashing, propaganda, so on and so forth. And she perfectly points out something that I've been saying for years. They're transforming society into a man-hating society by blaming men for everything. Everything. But more than anything else, they are transforming society into a man-hating society by blaming men for all what's not good about their patriarchal society. And then she perfectly puts up the whole hashtag men are trash thing that women put up there. You don't see men putting that up for women, though. Wonderful. I love you. I love you. I'm sorry, I just had to say that. Anyways, continuing on.
After all, they built this patriarchal society and will have to admit what's wrong with the society they built. And this is why men have no choice but to go along. As if all men in the Western society said, yes dear, as in a marriage. So today, boys are growing up in this female-enforced doctrine to value a woman's opinion, and it has been made very clear that they are the aggressors by default, while they see how marvelous women are.
Yeah, here we go. She nailed it yet again in the most perfect way possible. You know, we men just have to go along with it. Yes, dear. We built this amazing world from the ground up, and while women back in those days contributed little to nothing to it, they are the ones that are ostracizing and criticizing it the most, and pointing out all the wrongs with it, while rarely, if ever, pointing out anything that good came out from it. Isn't that interesting? It's as if they have an agenda. And so, as I've pointed out on numerous different occasions, what she says here. So today's boys are growing up in this female-enforced doctrine. And it has been made very clear that they are the aggressors by default, shaming males for being males, attacking male character, slandering male character, unjustifiably. While they see how marvelous women are, such as the women put on Person of the Year for Time magazine. Enforcing this idea that the women's way are the right way, the feminine way is the only way to be. Catching on yet with that agenda? Anyways, continuing on.
Which explains why young men are converting into these eunuch-like soft characters, which is not what women want, as at the end they will claim they want a real man.
Again, thank you, you Dutch perfection in the female form. You are the Dutch version of Jill Wagner. Anyways, yes, again, she is yet again pointing out something perfectly. the conversion of young men into these eunuch-like soft characters. This can be seen in movies, media, and shows in general, where men are these super soft and sensitive and fragile creatures. So, well, there's these strong women out there. Yeah, I'm a badass woman. You know, while the man is so sensitive and soft and fragile. And in the end, that isn't really what women want, apparently, because they'll turn right on around and start talking about how they want themselves a real man. And again, goes back to that whole meme trend of the real men this. Real men do this. Real men do that. Real men this and that. Real men like curves. Boys only want bones. Or dogs only want bones. You know, those types of memes. Yeah. Continuing on.
Sigmund Freud said, "The great question that has never been answered, and which I have not yet been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research in feminine soul, is what does a woman want?" Well, Sigmund, there's no answer to that question. Women do not know what they want. Right now, they say they want equality, but it looks as though they want to get rid of men in power, or men in general, or not. It's just impossible to tell. Maybe they just want to be able to do what men can do, but just weren't designed that way, and deep down they envy men because of it. And out of this envy comes resentment, which might explain the growing misandry today.
Oh, yep. Beautifully stated. I couldn't have said it better myself. Jesus fucking Christ. She actually brought up a point that I haven't yet. I've kind of like had it in my mind, but I didn't know how to really word it correctly, how to present it in a way that would make sense. Like, it makes sense in here, but if I state it, it wouldn't make sense. But she made that, to which I was having a hard time trying to figure out how to word it and present it, right there. Thank you. And to kind of, you know, clarify on what I'm talking about here is what Sigmund was basically going on about, you know, what women truly want. And then she, as a female herself, as a woman, as a lady, you know, literally said, there is no answer for that, Sigmund. And then went on to say women don't know what the fuck they want, because they show that all the time. Fucking look at my video on that whole destroying the nice guy mentality bashing thing, where I talk about how women will claim they want this nice man with all these great qualities. He listens, he understands, he responds, he's communicative, he has a stable job, he's a good person, a good virtuous man with great character, qualities, personality, the whole 10 yards. They'll say that and put on this big ass facade about that on Facebook or in general, talk about how they want this great amazing man, hard-working, loving, loyal, dedicated man, and then turn around in the literal next second and then get with thuggy thug McDouchebag that will leave her, use her, abuse her, the whole 10 yards. The complete and total opposite of what she was just claiming she was wanting to be with, but then turns around and gets with the complete and total opposite of that. Like, what? So yes, women don't know what the fuck they want, and they show that every goddamn day. Thank you for proving my point in that and validating it furthermore. You know, and then she puts in the perfect example, saying right now they say they want equality, but it looks like they want to get rid of men in power, which is not equality. A complete and total says one thing, does the other, again, inaction. because equality is being on the same level, not getting rid of. And again, the whole getting rid of men in general thing. They want the suppression of men, oppression of men, slave-like men. They don't want to be on the same level as men. They want to get rid of men. And but, you know, some women are different, so it's impossible to really tell. Some women want to get rid of men, some want to be on the same level as men, some just want to get rid of powerful men and keep the other men, you know, it's just really impossible to tell, and she's absolutely right on that. Maybe they just want to be able to do what men, and this right here is what I was talking about. This next point that's about to be made, where I couldn't figure out a way to really put it. But she simplified it in a way that made absolute sense and was absolutely effective in her presentation in the way that she worded it. And here we go. Maybe they, as women, just want to be able to do what men can do, but they weren't designed that way. And deep down, they envy men because of it. And out of this envy comes resentment, which might explain the growing misandry today. Finally, a thing I can go off of and really detail in on here. Thank you. She explained it perfectly. So, yeah, they want to do what men can do so badly, you know, while losing the qualities of the feminine female likeness. You know, they're basically saying, fuck femininity, I want to be as manly as possible and do what men can do. I don't care about what women were designed to do, I just want to prove that I can do what men can do and I can do it better than men. So, I'm going to go all out on this. And then when they ultimately cannot, they envy us. And when they envy us, they resent us. And when they resent us, they hate us. They hate men. So what do? They slander us with gender-biased memes. They come up with articles, quotes, memes, sayings, you name it. Slandering men, attacking men's character, making us out to be evil, bad, anything negative that you can think of. That is men, and anything good, that is women. And there you go with the misandry culture of today. Perfectly summed up. So with that said, continue on.
It's common knowledge, women always have been the ones calling the shots in almost any family. Any TV series and countless movies and books have parodied or joked about it. But then again, these are children of the unmasked divorcing 60s generation of hippie flower children whom became this traumatized new generation. It's just what divorce, meaning a missing parent, does to a child. Now, traumatized people develop this tendency to prevent people from experiencing what they have gone through. So they became lawyers, mediators, judges, and social workers in times when feminism was at its height. By the end of the 90s, especially the family law branch became overrepresented by women due to the positive discrimination which was at its peak. And they are the ones in charge. A female lawyer, a female judge passing female-tailored laws which were always in favor of the mother. Women tend to be more emotional and thus are more likely to listen to their feelings instead of facts.
Oh yeah. Beating them up with knowledge, I'm telling you. This is a super intellectual female here. Again, that's my kind of gal right there. Alright, so again, she's perfectly pointing out a lot of things here. The women of times gone by becoming current day, past day lawyers, judges, this and that, of which has branched off into today's culture as well, even more so, where these females are oversaturating the laws, the courts, everything that has to do with society, culture, the court system, etc. And then screwing men as much as possible in the process, because they are in these places of power with which they can manipulate. They can use and abuse their powers with which they have in order to make female-tailored laws that are, wouldn't you know it, in favor of special treatment of females, effectively screwing over men in every way possible, and thus having no true sense of justice ever had. As it's well known in American court especially, that the court system is designed in the advantage of women, and she's pointed out exactly why and how that has become. Because it's all oversaturated with females wanting female-favorited laws in favor of females. So if you're going to go to court as man against woman, whether it be family court or whatever, the woman will come out the winner with the most of everything, whether it be his house, money, and kid, or just him being put in jail for whatever the reason. It's going to be in the favor of the woman, and the male is at an instant disadvantage automatically. And then she pointed out, women tend to be more emotional and thus are more likely to listen to their feelings instead of the facts. Which, as we all know, facts are facts regardless of how you feel about them. So when you disregard facts and replace them with feelings, you're going to get bias, you're going to get bullshit, you're going to get an agenda more than you are going to get anything else. So it's no surprise, is what she's more or less saying. Continuing on.
Which makes it a terrible combination when these women are put in such an important judgmental position, like a social service worker, mediator, lawyer, or judge. Are you able to judge accurately, being the traumatized and messed up character you are? Because in family law you can already see what kind of system such a female system would be. It's 100% benefiting the women. It consists of basically all evil schemes, and in the end it is destructive for the child, the father and the mother. So it will fail miserably in all possible ways.
Yep. She again points out exactly what I was basically going on about right there, and the irony to all that is, as much as it does benefit women, it will fail women just as much. It's like this vicious cycle of idiocy. And being in such an important judgmental position, such as a social worker, mediator, lawyer, or judge, are you able to judge accurately in such a position, being a traumatized and fucked up gender-biased person that they are? Absolutely not. Fucking, I know it was a rhetorical question, but I still want to answer it anyways. Absolutely not. Man, I cannot believe how she is just ground and pound assaulting these women. She is just owning them. And she accurately points out how in family law you can already see the kind of system it is and really has become. And it's the female system, where it consists of all the evil schemes. And ultimately, in the end, the father and the mother, but more sad than anything, the child, are the ones who fall victim to it. As anything else orchestrated by women will fail equally. So, continuing on.
They are still fighting for equality. But when looking at our society, women already have surpassed men and in fact are already oppressing them. The first wave feminists had something to fight for. They got what they wanted, more than they were able to handle, and today we're at the fourth wave of feminism. Women who mentally seem to be stuck in their teens. Showing the world that women cannot handle the responsibility that they fought so hard to get. The left and female indoctrination in schools, movies and social media teaches young women that women still need to fight for equality. Since 2017, equality might be the most delicate, sensitive and trending issue at the moment. It has become an indisputable necessary truth that women still are oppressed and men are the violent oppressors. No young man dares to question this, while young women are fueled by the fact that their screaming and shouting is paying off in a major way, and is now paving the way for a new generation in which young men are silenced and young women are looking for new things to fight for.
Orgasm, orgasm, orgasm. Absolutely. Oh my god. I've said this in so many different ways, I can't even begin to think back on how many different ways exactly. She just used history and everything. Wow, I can't do better than that. That is spot on. That is perfect. You know, she started out with, you know, the truth. Women may think they are fighting still for equality. But when looking at our society, women have already surpassed men. Fact. Then she points out the history and uses it accordingly. The first wave of feminists had something to actually fight for, and this was true. Absolutely. I will not, as a traditional man and a decent, level-headed, neutral human being, I absolutely agree. It was unfortunate that women were treated the way that they were, and that they weren't allowed to vote and things of that nature. That is just really unfortunate part of history, and I'm glad that we corrected that. And I'm glad that these women had, you know, fought for it and accomplished their goal. That's fantastic. I'm glad. However, it's no longer the case. They got what they wanted. Good for them. We're glad. I'm glad. But they got more than they were able to handle, as shown in today's society, as she so delicately points out. And today we're at the fourth wave of feminism, which it went from women, use your vote, to women saying, warning, this pussy grabs back, as she subtly puts in there. And then puts in how women who apparently seem mentally to be stuck in their teen years. This is majorly more so for American females, clearly, because this Dutch female who speaks English is far superior to American females. I'll just put it that way. So definitely targeted more so towards Americans. And anyway, so she goes on furthermore to say, showing the world that women cannot handle the responsibility that they fought so hard to get. Huh, there's some cruel irony for you, huh? Shit. But she's not wrong though. You know, they have all this responsibility and this power, and they can't fucking handle it worth a damn. It's really unfortunate. Then of course we see it all the time in schools, public schools especially, the whole female indoctrination, movies and social media, as I've gone on about before, you know, and somehow females are being propagandized, brainwashed, believe that they still need to fight for some sort of equality that they don't actually need to fight for. And then she goes on to say, since 2017, equality is like the most, issue at the moment. And I love that she put these like screenshots in about support officer, female only, move over kids, camp is only for grown women, and how there's only female trains built only for females, how there is women's only drug and alcohol rehab programs, how there's only women only ride sharing services, and so on and so forth. And I've talked about this before quite frequently as well, where there's all these female-centric programs and shelters and schools and places and things that women can go, but where are the male-only shelters? The men's resource shelter, the I Fund Men, the trains only for men, men this, men that. There's none of that shit. Men are left out in the dark. They're left to fend on their own, while women get all the special treatment and favoritism and shelters and places to go and things to do, and men are just left in the dark. They're screwed over. I've touched on that several times before. And she's, stated it's become an undisputable necessary truth that women are still, quote-unquote, oppressed, and men are, quote, the violent oppressors. This ideology, this brainwashed bullshit is still being perpetuated today, when this is quite obviously not true. And of course, most men, unlike myself, dares to question this, because I certainly will, and I always have. While young women are fueled by the fact that their screaming and shouting is paying off in some sort of way. Female only dorms, female only this and that, It's only creating a divide. And now it's paving the way for a new generation in which young men are silenced. She could not have been spot on, like any more spot on than that. And then, of course, what happens when women have too much time on their hands? What happens when women get so spoiled and entitled by this world of gynocentrism and favoritism that we currently live in? They look for new things to fight for. Yeah. So, anyways, continuing on.
Which basically are new ways to oppress men.
A space on campus that's, for me and other women or female identifying persons like me, it's just so inclusive.
The women's room is just like any other room. It's like this room that we're in right now. It's got some tea. It's got a lot of lesbian fiction novels.
It's just borderline insanity, and it's getting so overly dominant, even men have no choice but to mimic this weird behavior. It's as if women, adult women, are in a perpetual state of adolescence, basically going against the grain. No matter how much attention they get, no matter how much equality there is, they will continue to complain and feel restless, insecure, and unsatisfied with their whole being. The entire Me Too campaign, which exploded this so-called fourth wave of feminism onto the world, merely shows you the woman who has got the power and what she does with it. She doesn't create, she destroys.
Oh, yep. Yeah. Which are basically new ways to oppress men. How can we oppress men today while making ourselves the victims, is basically how women think nowadays. And then it shows this insanity of this video clip of these childish, immature, gynocentric, feministic, self-centered, selfish, arrogant, self-righteous females in their little safe space female-only room, going on with their insanity as if it's absolutely supposed to be okay or something. I don't know. It's kind of sad and depressing. But she said it better. It's just borderline insanity! And she clearly stated another fact, which is it's getting so overly dominant that men are, the beta bitches that I talk about, are trying to mimic this behavior. Yeah, I'm not gonna hop onto that trend anytime soon. Sorry. I'm not a beta bitch. I'm a traditional man. Anyways, and then she points out adult women are in a perpetual state of adolescence. All that fact, all that reality, all that truth. Bam! 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 Because it's absolutely true. Yipes. No matter, and again, this goes on to the point that I've been making before, you know, about how entitled and spoiled they are because of the gynocentric world that we live in. No matter how much equality there is, they will continue to complain about something, anything, even if it's made up. And they'll feel restless, insecure, and unsatisfied with their whole being. And then, of course, the entire Me Too campaign was a good example of what happens when it gets out of control. And it goes on to say it merely shows you that women who have the power use it in the worst ways possible and what she does with it. And basically, in short summary, she sums it up perfectly with she doesn't create, she destroys. But the more she gets, they already are in power. And they will completely overthrow the patriarchal system and Me Too movement. The fact is that women don't seem to realize they are already in power, though. So we'll just continue off of that.
And they completely overthrew the patriarchal system with the Me Too movement by converting the initial sexual harassment into a doctrine in which sexual harassment can apply to anything a man does, and proclaiming each existing man guilty by suspicion just because he is a man. Whereas the woman is always the victim and therefore by default innocent. In family law, they have showed that it's the man's possessions and doom they're after, with the child as their playing card. And we have grown accustomed to this sick habit.
Oh, that didn't take long for her to throw another KO punch of reality, facts, and truth all up in there. Yep, there we go again. She perfectly exploits, exposes, and shows exactly what has been normalized in today's gynocentric world. And the bad part is we have grown accustomed to that sick behavior and normalized it. And how they turned the Me Too movement, which was initially a good thing, I can agree with that to a certain extent, into a doctrine, into a brainwashing, propagandizing doctrine. And by doing so, they made it toxic. They made it into something that it wasn't supposed to be, in which sexual harassment can apply to anything a man does. Hugging, touching, you know, even if it was, you know, hug me and then he hugs you, you sexually assaulted me, type situations. Hence why Keanu Reeves, or however his name is said, the guy from The Matrix, he's seen doing this. Like, he won't actually touch a female because he's in fear that he will be called out for sexually harassing someone. Smart move, by the way, in today's culture. Unfortunate that a man has to do that, though. So anyways, going on off of that, though, she goes off and says, and proclaiming each existing man guilty by suspicion. Proven guilty, innocent until proven guilty is no more. It's guilty until proven innocent in today's female world. And why? It's just because he's a man. And as it goes for the women, wouldn't you know it, they played the victim. And therefore default innocent. And in family law, she speaks the truth yet again. The man's possession and doom are what happens immediately after. And we've grown accustomed to this sick habit. Yay. So, with that, continuing on.
Me Too rage, they have shown how they can bring down and hunt down men. This hasn't been about equality for a long time. Our ancestors, as well as all religions, most certainly knew about this. And as far as I'm concerned, if we, as women, continue this way, we will end up screwing it all up, and we will have learned why patriarchal systems existed years ago and why we had lost our right to vote. From time immemorial, men and women have coexisted side by side on this planet, like all male and female life forms, as a symbiosis to the advantage of both, dividing their skills equally. This is equality. This is as equal as it gets. The animal kingdom figured it out. Most religions and most cultures figured it out. Our ancestors clearly understood this equality. Men do the jobs they're good at. Women do the jobs they're good at. Women are now fighting against biological factors, and it's a fight they can never win.
Again, perfectly stated, perfectly executed, simple and effective, and to the point. What she is pointing out here is what I've been saying for a long time. Women in this all their power and their corruption that they've been showing with their Me Too rage is going to come eventually, hopefully, backfire on them. They're showing just how abusive they are with this power and how out of control they are with power. And she's pointed out what I've already said, that feminism or true equality, how it hasn't been about equality for a long time, because it's been dead for a long time. I've said that a lot. But our ancestors, as well as most religious, most certainly knew about this, of course. And how women will end up screwing it all up, and then they will learn why patriarchal systems existed years ago, and why they had lost their right to vote. Damn. Whoa. I mean, look, I'm not the one saying that. I'm just saying, damn. Whoa. And then she goes on to point out, how men and women have coexisted and the advantage of both, dividing their skills equally, as it should be. It's all about what men can do and what women can do, and what men can't do, women can do, and vice versa. That's the true equality, and then so on and so forth. And the animal kingdom figured it out, and same what. And she makes an excellent point at saying men do their jobs that they're good at, and women do the jobs that they're good at. And women are trying to fight against biological factors. They're trying to fight nature. And as we all know, whether it's a fucking hurricane or your own biological nature, it's a fight you won't win against. So with that, it goes back to the point that she made with the whole, you know, they want to, but they can't, and then there comes the, you know, the envy, which leads to the resentment, which leads to the hate, and continues that perpetual cycle. So as much as they want to try to be male, as much as they fight it, as much as they want to be male or they want to do male things, they're just not nature designed, built for male related things. And they won't win. It will result in them screwing themselves up in one way or the other. So, continuing on.
Men have this innate interest to explore, examine and build worlds. Women just don't have that. Their innate interest is to explore, examine themselves and build fat around it to develop yet another disorder. You cannot co-govern a world when your interest primarily consists of who slept with whom and gossiping about it. Because whichever way you twist it, this is the main interest of women. It's shopping, shoes, sex and slander. Women for sure won't want to exchange their sexual embellishment and their lipstick for coal mining clothes and a lamp. They rather would see man's masculinity being stripped and outlawed while cheering the transgenders and the rest of the alphabet of gender-neutral people. Because these physically and mentally castrated men can be welcomed into this equality-demanding group of women. As long as they don't participate in sports or enter their safe spaces. Female-only safe spaces. No men allowed. The seat of the equivalent of the whites-only benches in South Africa's apartheid era. That's not equality though. It's actually the exact opposite of gender equality. That's a weird kind of confused female supremacy and eradicating of all that's masculine. What do those young women do in their university safe spaces? They finger paint for one thing. And this is frighteningly underlining the kindergarten-like state of mind of these women. One should expect them to read Nietzsche or Confucius or Plato, but these are all men. How long before US campuses will start burning books written by men? After all, it's all mansplaining. Women are mentally insane. And right now they are dragging the entire Western civilization, men included, into this unbelievable farce which is rapidly evolving into a plain, sick and disturbed society. A society which soon will be governed by these female lunatics, because men are stupid enough to let it happen and women are sick enough to invent this insanity. It seems women have invented something after all besides the brown bag. Incoherent insanity within a society. This seemed to be the first time in history of mankind, a forbidden word, women actually are at liberty to do this. We don't know for sure though. Maybe it did occur in the history of mankind before, with the mythical Amazons. Men were killed and just a few of them were kept alive for offspring. If it's not a myth, but the building up to a new all-female dominated society, we do know what lies in store for men, and how this is all going to end for them.
I just wanted to let that play because, I mean, honestly, I don't have much more to add on to it. She perfectly puts it up there, and, you know, the only thing that I am going to want to add in is what she put at the end here, and, it's absolutely correct, because as much as women, especially American women, like to claim that there's this so-called war on women, the reality, the facts, the truth of this situation is there's actually a real war on men. And she points it out absolutely perfectly spot on, and 100% unquestionably factually true. The actual war, the real war, is against men, on men. This gender-biased war, attack, slander, whatever you want to call it, its target is men, not women. And how will it result if this whole female dominance thing goes on? have you killed any men today? And if not, why not? The whole Amazonias thing, as she's pointed out previously, is how it's going to end out. And so again, this war on men continues, especially with this whole "the future is female" signs, as she puts out in the end there. So I'd like to personally thank Ava Brighton for making this video. You are that glimmer, that small little sparkle of light, that tiniest speck of hope that there is for us Americans, and just us men in general, just humanity in general, actually, in the entire world. You are that phoenix rising from the ashes and just sparking something new, something fresh, something original, something real, something honest, fighting for real justice, fighting for something honorable, noble, something that's worth speaking out for and against, standing up for what is truly right, speaking out against what is truly wrong. And I want to just personally thank you. I, for the longest time, thought I was the only one out there that was seeing it this way, and you know, a lot of people probably confuse me with being this angry at women, misogynist, bitter person or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, you're literally saying in a much nicer, clearly cut, presented way what I've been saying for all these years in all my videos and such. And so to that, Ava, it's kind of hard for women to claim all these like male-orientated types of arguments when a female is also saying these same things, just in a slightly different way, in a nicer way, in a better presented way. It's really hard to argue that. So when I saw this, it made my entire year. It showed me that I'm not alone in this fight. I'm not alone in this fucking war, I guess you could say. The gender wars, as it were. And you're definitely one in a trillion. No question about it. And I hope that you spark a new revolution, that you have like an army of women who see this, and you break that seal of ignorance that they've been living in, and self-righteousness, and there's victimhood that's being taught to them, and you just break that seal, open their mind to the reality, and when you did it in such a way that doesn't make people defensive, but more so open-minded and more likely to listen and understand. I really truly believe that there's a better likelihood that you'll get across to people better than I would. One, you're a female. Two, you're a lot nicer than I am. And just the overall message and everything that you put in there was just so perfect. I can't put it any other way to describe it. That if they don't understand or have their minds open, breaking that seal of ignorance and such, then they're hopeless. You cannot help people that don't want to be helped. You can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink it. So even with that, I still think, that there could be a better future with more women like Ava Brighton out there. And I really hope this sparks a new wave, as it were, of female neutral individuals that truly are gender neutral, meaning they aren't on the female side or the male side or anything. They're equal. They don't take sides. They fight for what is right. They see things as we do, me and Ava do here. And and hope for a better future, because if we continue in this gynocentric future, well, Ava showed us what's going to happen, and I've already been saying what's going to happen, so best luck to you, Ava. I hope you get the right support and that you catch fire and the whole 10 yards. So until next time.